How's it going,
Yeah, it's
Graham?
all good. Lovely, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So, are you in Australia at the moment, or are you still in California?
Yeah, in Australia for the time being. Super lucky here with the lack of COVID, so just taking
Yeah.
advantage of the shows available.
Fuck yeah, man. No, that's unreal to hear. So, did you come over at the start of COVID, or were you kind of luckily in Australia when everything hit?
So I basically most of last year I was in California, and then it wasn't until I think November that I came over here, and then that's when like things were kind of picking up in terms of like shows and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I've been here since then, and I'm probably not going back until I've exhausted all options here, really. So probably until like April-ish.
Right.
But
And
yeah, man.
in terms of, I suppose, shows, because a lot of people may not kind of know what the dubstep scene is like in Australia at the moment. So, I suppose, like, what kind of venues are you mainly playing at, and like crowd turnouts and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's still like COVID restrictions and like caps on the venues. So like most of the venues have been playing at like half capacity.
Hmm.
But the first show I did was Metro City in Perth.
Wow.
Like generally that's quite a big venue, but like cut in half we did 1,300, I think. But
Wow.
even then, that's like crazy in like the current climate. Like it was like pretty mind blowing to see even that amount of people like in one space.
Definitely.
um, I did a Brisbane show. I did two Brisbane shows the other week. One was like a 400 cap venue, and at it's called the Trifford, and if you know that one.
I have.
And then
I know the venue.
yeah. And then I did like this festival at the Eaton's Hill Hotel the other day, and it was like I think there was like 2,500 people or something. It was like that's very surreal, very very surreal.
Yeah, man, that's unreal that you've been keeping so busy. I suppose during a year that so many people haven't been able to play shows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like very very lucky over here. Like all my friends back in America, they're just like they can't even come here. It's like, they're just looking
Exactly.
at us being like,
Well, I'm in Victoria, and we kind of just got put back on some restrictions today. So
oh
it's
really? Yeah,
yeah, we're back to face masks and stuff. So hopefully all the gigs that I have tickets to still go ahead in the coming months. Otherwise, I'm going to be pretty
hopefully,
upset.
yeah, yeah.
Um, we've got, I don't know, I've got a ticket to Plex, who I don't know how they're planning on getting him to the country, but
Where they're from?
Germany. So
Oh wow,
yeah,
okay.
it's a
Wow.
pretty audacious techno show, but we'll see how it goes. And Transcendency came out 2019, and obviously with lockdown and stuff, I'm assuming that you've kind of been producing a little bit behind the scenes the last year or so.
Yeah, bits and pieces. Like I find myself like writing more like Spotify friendly music rather than like music for like the club or venue or whatever. So just a bit more accessible music where it's kind of like structured, like in terms of like verse, chorus, and everything, and like most of the stuff I'm writing kind of calls for vocals as well. Like I see you guys have been playing Enemy on your show.
Yeah, flat
And
out.
thanks for putting it into rotation. Yeah, some like just that kind of more accessible music like that, really. And yeah, I plan on like doing a whole lot more stuff like that.
It's it's really interesting that you use the term accessible, because in a
Yeah,
way you're doing something so different. I mean, it's dubstep with like metal and punk vocalists that you kind of tying in as these features.
yeah.
And it is pretty incredible how you do make it such a accessible sound in the end. Yeah, it's I suppose, where was the idea first coming from to kind of get these vocalists to join?
I think it's like going back and some of my history is like I used to play guitar in like a whole bunch of different metal bands when I was like growing up, and then even before I even like knew what electronic music was, and then I discovered like EDM and dubstep and all that, and then so I started messing around with that, and like why not do both? Like
Yeah.
I was still like writing a lot of like rock and metal and stuff, so I was like best of both worlds, let's try and merge it together and make it a thing. Yeah, so it's just like these days it's just like reaching out to my favorite artists and be like, want to work together? Like,
And it's like actual finished product is pretty incredible, to be honest. And I mean, Enemy, which you mentioned, the newest single, that has
mm,
Shane from Silverstein on vocals, and then you know, in the past there's been Northlane, Die Hard Is Murder, In Heart's Wake, like a lot of faction listener favorites, I suppose.
Yeah.
Were any of the musicians, when you first hit them up, I suppose, what was their reaction? Because like CJ McMahon, I assume he doesn't get asked to feature on a dubstep track every day.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've reached out to a lot of people. Some people are like pretty open-minded into the idea in the project. A lot of people are pretty, you know, like, this isn't music. Like, you know, it's like some people are pretty set in their ways. But you know, I think for the most part, like, especially these days, people are pretty open-minded about like, you know, the way things are and like how electronic music is like, you know, almost taken over in a way, you know. And I think, yeah, people see the vision and like, especially if they've heard like previous songs that I've done, they kind of understand. It makes more sense because, yeah.
Yeah, it's and I suppose as well, like when dubstep first did come out, it kind of hit like Sunny Moore was a big impact, but it really hit that metal crowd kind of before any other audience in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's cool.
I think since the beginning, like once you know, dubstep started becoming like heavy, there was always that connection that people always used to say, like even 10 years ago, they were like, this is just like electronic metal, you know. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
It always had that kind of like association, really.
And you know, like Bring Me the Horizon with like when remix albums became a huge thing, and like Tech-9 and stuff kind of took over. I think Bring Me the Horizon had a tour through Europe with like Architects and Tech-9 all on the same thing, which is pretty incredible. I mean, hopefully there's kind of some shows like that can pop up in future.
Absolutely. I mean, like all the stuff like they're writing these days is like very like inspired by like electronic like elements for sure. Like their latest albums, like super like EDM-y, you know. It's cool.
Well, it's kind of it's actually, I suppose, when you were talking about like collaborations and some artists being open-minded, I remember seeing an interview with them that they said Danny Filth would have never collaborated with us when we were heavy. It was when we turned pop that he kind of was actually keen to get on board.
Yeah, true.
So I suppose in terms of some of the new stuff you have been working on, are there any specific collaborators in mind or kind of sounds that you are striving towards?
I mean, Bring Me the Horizon is like a goal for sure. Got the fingers crossed on that one, but you know, there's only one way to find out. But yeah, basically I'm just trying to get enough material to write, and then I've got a whole bunch of like ideas, and then it's basically just having all those songs written and then like pitching it to a whole bunch of bands, really.
Sick.
So yeah, the plan is to do an EP with Unified, so kind of branching out into more like the metal side of things. Just kind of instead of it being like an EDM song with like a metal vocals, it's kind of going to be like more rocky. It's like something a little different from it, like that PhaseOne hasn't really done before. So
yeah,
but like it's what I love. So
and well, because that is something that I noticed. I mean, it's not just featuring these vocalists; it's featuring the actual bands as well. And you know, like the track with Northlane actually has like an incredibly heavy backing at times, like with organic instruments. So I think that's pretty rad, actually collaborating with Unified on that one.
Yeah. I mean, like we've worked with them a few times, just like I've done a few remixes for them and everything. And Luke who runs Unified has just put us in touch with so many different people. So we're just like, we need to like work with this guy like properly, you know, and like that's super exciting. So that's this year's project, I think. So
and is that, I suppose, because you are like normally based in LA, and I assume you'd have kind of your own like studio set up over there. Is it hard now being back in Australia, having these incredible opportunities and thinking like, shit, like my actual setup is overseas?
A little bit, but like for the most part, I'm pretty portable. Like most of the work I can do on my computer. It's just when I need to like record guitar or anything, that's my guitars are back in LA. I can like record like demos and then like have like the composition written, then re-record it when I get back to LA or whatever. Or I could get the studio here, but my guitars are in LA, so.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I kind of figured equipment would be like spaced out everywhere, which might make it a bit more difficult. But in terms of any new works, is Enemy going to stay as a single release for the time being? Or is that going to be a release in future?
I think for now it'll be just a single, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's I don't know, it sounds exciting. It sounds like there's kind of a lot of cool stuff in the works for 2021. So I know Faction listeners will be pretty stoked as that kind of starts to gradually drip feed out to the public.
Yeah, lovely, man. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys like, you know, being open-minded enough to play some dubstep on the show and everything.
Oh, it's like thanks goes to Tim, man. Like Tim's very
Yeah, yeah,
open-minded with a lot of the selections that he does. It's incredible, and yeah,
awesome.
we do try to hit so many different kind of fans, which is rad. If you tuned in late, we've been chatting to Graham, who is PhaseOne, the dubstep producer. Thank you so much for being on the line, Graham.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.